The Jason Bourne Stunt Spectacular is announced. We resurrect retired attractions at Universal Studios Orlando, and we rank all the haunted mansions. All this and more on today's episode of the We Like Theme Parks podcast.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we proudly present a spectacular festival of theme park audio commentary magic, the We Like Theme Parks podcast.
Yo. Bring it back now.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Welcome, foolish mortal.
We Like Theme Parks.
Welcome, my fellow theme parkers, to the We Like Theme Parks podcast, your go-to spot for news, opinions, and other nerdy fun happenings in and around the Disney and Universal theme parks. I'm Chris Bond. Hey, what's happening? And I'm joined by my fellow co-host, Disney and Universal Insider, photographer and travel journalist from StepsToMagic.com, and the co-host of the Universal Joint podcast. It's Dustin Fuhs.
Hey, how's it going?
That's good. How are you?
I'm good.
And we're gonna... Oh, wait. That's it. No Mark Andrada today. Did you just fade out the tune?
I did.
I love that tune.
Okay.
It's back. Jamming, jamming, jamming. Mike Troublecock, ladies and gentlemen. All right, go ahead and fade it out now. That feels good. Hey, we got a new board, so we got buttons and knobs that we're screwing around with. It's a lot of fun. How are you all doing out there, all you theme park fans? We're thrilled to have you, but we are missing Mark Andrada today. He's under the weather, not feeling so hot.
It's sad. I don't feel like it is the podcast without Mark.
He was quite ill. He was like, I'm really sweaty. I'm not leaving bed.
Aw.
Get better, Mark. We miss you, and so we'll have a Markless pod. But feel free to hit him up on Instagram at
Mark M. Andrada.
That's your cue, Dustin.
You know what?
That's your thing.
Here's
about
my
his
cue.
Instagram.
T-Public presents Instant Shoutouts.
Good timing. It's Insta shout-out time, and we got to give some ups to a few new friends, and maybe even some old friends. Thanks for being our friend. Traveled down the road and back again at Diz Junk Foodie. That's his name, at Diz Junk Foodie. I
Really?
love this guy's account. It's
Okay.
all Disney junk food. Not like the good stuff that you like, the classy stuff.
No, the junk food that you like.
It's all the garbage that I enjoy. That's all that's on this dude's feed.
Yep.
At Diz Junk Foodie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a match made in Instagram heaven.
Also want to give a shout out to at M Parillo 8. He's just a super cool Disney dad. I'm a Disney dad, so I relate, brother. Us Disney dads.
Yeah.
We do it for the children.
For the children.
Yeah, man. We're not there for us. It's not
No.
like we're having fun. Like
That's crazy.
It's the kids. The kids are like, oh, Minnie Mouse. And I'm like, oh, that feels nice. I feel
Yeah.
like I've done my duty as a father. Not that I want to go on Tower of Terror or anything. No, none of that business. How about you, Dustin? What's your T-Public shout out?
I'm a big fan of, let's see here, mouse_magic_in_Neverland.
So many underscores.
I know, so many underscores.
What's she all about?
All about Disney. And, really big, really creative. It looks like she does a lot of funky ears, like sparkly ears.
Oh, she makes ears?
Yeah.
This
Okay.
is all, we get a lot of, obviously we talk a lot
Yeah.
with our, I hate to say that word, fans.
Yeah. Sure.
But anytime I talk to someone who has ears business, and there's a lot of them, like they're rocking Etsy real hard.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always like, do you guys make a Tron Disney ears? And they're like, not yet. I'm like, dude, somebody make me, I want LED lit
Yeah.
Tron ears. I don't know. Maybe it's a light cycle and like one ear is one wheel and another ear is another wheel.
Okay.
Like I'm giving you gold here. I'm spinning gold.
Yeah.
How about we do some news? Because so much stuff has happened.
Sounds good. You know what happens with that?
Oh, we have buttons. Here it comes.
News with Fuhs.
There's the button. That was pretty cool, right?
That is
We're having
pretty
a really
cool.
good time with these buttons.
Yeah.
So what's happened in the news, Dustin?
So we've got obviously everything that's been happening with the Skyliner.
Can I do my Skyliner impression?
You can.
Smash. I'm being a bit of a dink because the Skyliner actually looks amazing. People have been actually glowing about it. And then this one little thing happens where we get this little bumperoo. Tell us about it, Dustin.
It's difficult because we all
kiss.
weren't
It was a little kiss, right? It was a little
just a
you know, when
classified as a malfunction.
Yeah. When you have a bumper smooch, and what made it look severe was, I guess, that the glass from call them the windows, where the ventilation is kind of smashed.
Yep.
So it looked like this whole thing is steel, and it is. But it felt like it was just a little scrunching of a couple of them. It wasn't high impact, and it looked like it was in the station.
It was. And it was at nighttime, and it was right as, the parks were closing. So 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, passengers were stranded for a couple of hours. And nice thing, though, is that you're dealing with, not daytime. It was at the nighttime, so that was okay. But when you're looking at a transportation system like this, it is so much more impactful when an accident happens in the first week.
Yeah.
Because now all of a sudden you have Disney parks coming out and saying like, oh, it was an accident, there was a malfunction, be patient with us, and that's perfectly fine. But the sheer number of guests they had to unload at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at nighttime was kind of weird to see it all kind of break down, and especially in a social media heavy society. Yeah,
where people are sitting there with their phones in the gondolas going, I've been up here for 3 hours and my kids are crying and my wife is upset. Somebody save us. No, it's not a good look. It's a rough look, but listen, again, we talk about not being the negative show.
Yeah.
They just opened this thing. It had a little tiny flub. I'm sure everybody that got stuck on this thing got a bunch of fast passes and pins. And
no, they got compensation.
What did they get?
From what I can tell.
I mean, I would have been cool with fast passes and pins. I would have been like, yeah, I'm good.
I heard that it was, gift cards.
Oh, my.
Tickets.
Really? Stick me. I'll be stuck up there. And quite frankly, they were stuck up there in the evening. Mm-hmm. So this whole concern about what happens if you get stuck in there on a hot day because you're going to get roasted in this box didn't happen. It was a nice, cool evening. In fact, you were probably a little warmer in there. You're being protected from the breeze with beautiful vistas. I'm sure they saw fireworks. What a beautiful evening up there at the Skyliner. Why not? What did they get? They got $100 gift cards and free park tickets. For what, 3 hours they were up there? Stick me up there. Thank you very much. Think about it. You go to the park for free. Yeah. You eat for free.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Can you imagine? Okay, let's do the math on this.
Yeah.
If someone gives you a free park ticket, I'm assuming it's not just for one day. I'm assuming it's a couple of days, maybe a park hopper.
I'm assuming it's one day for everybody that was in
the car. So if you're looking at that, how much do you save when you go to one of those timeshare presentations?
Yeah, I guess.
I'd rather go and do this, get the park hopper, get the $100 and be like, oh, this happened after we had already finished our day.
I think the thing that's surprising, and we mentioned this on one of the earlier pods, this isn't new technology. Like this stuff exists in other places around the world. So I'm a little surprised that there was a bit of a hiccup.
Yep.
But not a
snafu.
Big deal. Calm down. When they get this thing down, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's great vistas. It's convenient. Mm-hmm. The line moves quite quickly. It looks moderately comfortable in there with their wood seats, and the trips are quick.
Yeah.
Like I've been on some chairlift skiing for like a half an hour where I'm fearing for my life, dangling over, these mountains. This is a breeze, and I can't speak enough about, a lot of people are saying I was there for 3 hours. It's actually, there's a lot of these things they had to clear. 3 hours ain't terrible. Like as far as a response goes, I'm sure some people were there for 3 hours, some people were there for an hour. I think they did a nice job and they had a plan and they executed it quickly.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll see many of these things. They'll happen. It's a machine. Machines break.
Yep.
How many times are you on a ride and it just doesn't work?
Oh, that's
right. Like all the time.
Wow, that is the segue of the day.
All right, segue of the day. Where are we at?
Speaking of things that shut down due to random things, have you heard about Hagrid's having to close because of bee infestations?
No, I haven't heard of it.
So it looks like the fact that bees are
like an endangered species or something.
Yeah, like it was a weird thing. So anytime honeybees are swarming, they go from one spot to the other in Florida, they are almost like a protected species.
Wow.
So they had to go out, get the folks that go out and wrangle the alligators and lizards from the theme parks.
I don't know who those guys are called.
Yeah, but they're basically the
They have
people
to
that
safely like get the hive and displace it without injuring or
Well, and
whatever.
dealing with-
ruining their hive or whatever.
Yeah, so they have to go out, make sure that everything's safe. But what was interesting, though, was that there wasn't a lot of communication for everyone who was standing in the line or on the ride or anything like that. It just closed. And everyone was just like, what's going on? Are we going back in time to when Hagrid's was not really the most efficient or trustworthy experience?
Oh, it's still not, isn't it?
It still isn't.
It's still not running 100%. Nobody's talking about that. And there's still crazy lineups for this ride.
Yep.
And it doesn't always work, and they don't start it right at the top of the day. And now there's bees. And quite honestly, if you see some of the images of the bees, it literally looks like a plague. It's
Yeah.
like a lot of bees.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, watch out, there's a hive over there. Be careful.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
death trees.
Can I tell you a story about me getting stung by bees? You want to hear
Okay?
about it?
Sure.
So when I was a kid, and this sounds very like upper middle class, my grandfather took me to golf lessons. And it wasn't very good, and I didn't really care for it. But my grandfather really wanted me to golf, so that's what you did. Did stuff to appease Grandpa. So Grandpa would take me out there, and I think I was playing, and I wasn't good, and I had a slice, and I sliced it into the fairway, and I was looking for my ball, and it was kind of in like a roughy area. My ball was in a hole, and I kind of just jammed my club in there.
Beehive. Yep.
Swarm of bees attacked me
man.
because I was maybe in my teens.
Sure.
I was wearing like a dippy like knee socks and like a big sweater.
Oh.
And these things just came into my like they were underneath my sweater.
Oh.
And they were just ravaging me, man. And so my grandfather runs over and he's hitting me with the golf club. It's like hitting me with the thing. He's like, Christopher, we're gonna I'll never forget it. Thanks, Grandpa, for saving me. Some of them were bites and some of them were club marks, but it was all good. So I don't care for bees. So I would just say nuke those bees.
The bee bomb?
Yeah, they're not endangered in my town. Just get them out of here. But in Orlando, they're sacred theme park bees. And, you know, they might be the ones that make the honey for Winnie the Pooh. You never know. So you have to be careful.
All right, so we go from bees and dealing with
we go from bees to the bees' knees.
The Bourne Stuntacular.
Yes.
So it's confirmed for Universal Studios Florida, going into the location that used to be Terminator 2 3D, which closed in 2017. There has been a number of rumors from, I think Star Trek was rumored at one point in time to go in here.
That would have been way better.
I know, like Bourne has always kind of been top of mind because of there's been so many movies and it's a Universal property.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you put Bourne into it? But I was doing some research earlier today and Bourne's been around for a while.
Yeah.
It's not a new series.
Yeah, Matt Damon, he was pretty young when they started this. How many movies? Is it like 4?
72.
Come on, really?
476?
No, but like, you think, is it more like 6 or 7 or like 3 or 4? Is it a trilogy?
It's been, let's see here. So we're talking about
First,
Bourne.
I think the titles are already like always really like weird.
Yeah.
They're really like comprehensive titles. So I always forget which one's which.
Back.
Kind of like James Bond movies now, Quantum of Solace. It's like, what?
It's like, come on, guys.
It's not like Goldfinger. Like that was, that's a movie, right?
That is a movie.
So I feel like all these Jason Bourne movies kind of are just blobbed into one movie for me.
Bourne Supremacy, 2004.
Yeah,
Was
but I know people really
Bourne
dig
Identity,
them.
2002.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it looks like 2002 was the first one.
The Bourne Identity was the original, right? If I remember.
Yeah, so
'Cause
that
its whole
was
thing is about his identity.
Yeah, here's a fun trivia. 2002.
Matt Damon.
Yeah,
Is that
Matt
the
Damon,
answer?
correct.
Okay.
Bourne Identity came out the same year as the Bernie Mac show.
Oh my God, I love Bernie Mac.
It was the year after Ocean's 11.
Still with Bernie Mac, and God rest his soul.
And the year after Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which is interesting because this year, Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
They reboot.
And Matt Damon's in that as well.
But no Bernie Mac.
I
Now,
know.
if Bernie Mac was in that movie, it would have been better.
Everything is better with Bernie Mac.
I loved Bernie Mac, man.
Yeah.
I remember watching, and I was in university. I'm dating myself here. But The Kings of Comedy was my
Sure.
favorite movie. Cedric the Entertainer, Bernie
Yeah.
Mac, D.L. Hewley, Steve Harvey. Oh, yes.
Yep. See, I lost Bernie Mac when he brought out Guess Who. That was the movie with
Yeah.
him and Ashton Kutcher.
Because he became a mainstream star.
Yep.
And that TV show, it was good, but it wasn't like, if you knew his comedy,
Sure.
he was raw, man. He was raw. His comedy was there was a lot about family.
Yep.
That was the kind of impetus for the Bernie Mac show. And it
Sure.
was about him and his kids, but it was without all the language and all that raw stuff. So it was kind of like a really PG version of it. Didn't land like his comedy did, but he became so mainstream. He started doing all these like Ashton Kutcher, Main
Yep.
Street movies. So what was the baseball one he did? Where
Oh, Mr. 3000.
Mr. 3000. Like, I love a good baseball movie, but it was just
Yeah.
like trying to get Bernie Mac to not be like cursing and swearing and being as raw as he was.
Yep.
Kind of, it's not really Bernie Mac.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
But back to the Bourne Stuntacular. What was
Sorry, what a
interesting, though-
digression on Bernie Mac. I wish
great.
Mark was here.
I know.
I'm sure Mark loves Bernie Mac.
You know what? He's here.
Yeah, I feel
He's
his
with
presence.
us.
Yeah.
And we probably have about 50 hours, give or take, of Mark that we can go back and kind of grab a couple of points here and there.
We needed one of our drops to be Mark saying something like, what do you think, Mark? And he's like, yep. And it's just the one that just says, yep. And that's Mark.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because Mark will do that. Yep, totally agree.
Yeah.
Or I'm into everything you're saying. That's a Mark line.
That is a Mark line.
I'm
Yep.
into everything you're saying right now.
Yep.
We need that drop. There you go.
Absolutely.
For you, we need a Dustin drop that says taking it to the next level. And what's the Chris drop?
Chris drop is
Me eating. Yeah. I haven't eaten on a pod in a while. We don't even have any snacks today. What kind of ghetto pod is this? We don't have any food.
I've got snacks.
Ugh, we didn't bust them out. Is it because Mark's not here? It's
because Mark's
is this
not
the
here.
deal? So when Mark is here, there's food. And when are you trying to tell me something? Oh my goodness!
You got to have a better rider, dude.
Oh my god! All right. What? So do we have any information about the ride itself?
When Universal puts something out there, they usually just kind of say, "Oh, this is coming," and stay tuned to social media.
Yeah.
So we
this is
know
another-
that it's coming in 2020.
that's soon.
That it is soon. But what was funny was that the response online was mediocre at best.
Well, listen, the last couple haven't been so great. Hagrid's is good
Yeah,
because it's it's practical.
it's a
People
Harry
want
Potter
practical. But
experience.
before
It's a
that,
coaster.
it was Fast and the Furious,
Screens.
no bueno, screens, and the King Kong ride, which is
Screens.
mostly screens with a cool ape at the end,
and Jimmy Fallon.
and more screens. Not good. Too many screens.
No bueno.
No magic.
See that? There you go. That is the Chris.
Oh, no bueno.
No bueno.
I don't
Now-
even speak Spanish. But yeah.
The other thing that came out from Universal Studios was actually Universal Studios Beijing has basically been revealed.
Oh,
So
hey,
we know what's going in.
what's going in.
So it was announced back in 2014. It's a huge location. It's about approximately 420 acres, pretty solid for that area. And it looks like the resort is going to be opening in 2021. Now, here's some of the things that they've already brought out. So we're getting the Kung Fu Panda Land of Awesomeness.
Amazing. Love Kung Fu Panda.
We've got Transformers Metro Base.
I love Transformers.
We've got Minion Land,
I'm excited about
which
that.
actually, if you look at it, that looks like The Simpsons.
Does look like The Simpsons.
Do you think that maybe it's because Simpsons is now owned by Disney?
Yeah, makes sense. Well, but it's going to be a new attraction because they retrofitted all those Back to the Future attractions. So
sure.
I think this will be something new.
They're bringing out Wizarding World of Harry Potter
Oh, cool.
and Jurassic World. Is it Isla? I've always said it.
It's Ilsa, isn't it?
No, because Isla. It can't be Ilsa.
Isla Nublar. Isla works.
Isla
Whatever.
works.
It's an island. It's a
Yeah.
little. It's a mini island. That's why it's an Isla.
That's coming out. So
What's it going to be? Is it going to be? It will not be a water ride, is what it
yeah,
says.
so it's taken the essence of the legendary film franchise and created a larger-than-life destination. Blah 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 blah. Tyrannosaurus Rex, Velociraptors.
What's underneath it? What's the next thing?
Oh.
There's going to be a water world.
They're bringing Waterworld back to this thing.
How do they keep bringing Waterworld back?
I don't know.
But I'm not going to dump on it because the show is great.
Yeah.
But nobody remembers this movie anymore. Like no kid and nobody under 20 is like, oh yeah, Waterworld. They're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. What is this Waterworld that you speak of?
It's a great stunt show.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best stunt shows ever.
Yeah. So that's basically the Universal Studios Beijing. We'll be talking a lot about it more though.
You know what's cool? I absolutely will. But now my China trip, I got to wait till 2021.
Or you go twice.
Oh, what's going to be in the Transformers thing? Because it looks like it's a coaster and not like the same
That
Transformers ride.
It actually looks like that is the same style of launch coaster as the Hulk.
It does look like the Hulk.
Actually, this new land has a clone of the Hulk coaster.
Oh, does it say it right there?
Yeah. So it looks like it's going to be a lot of Transformers, world building. It looks like they're going to be bringing in the Nest. That is at Universal Studios Florida.
Okay.
I'm just a big fan of bringing in this idea of immersion. I think Universal Studios Florida doesn't really have immersive.
No, because they're not small lands, they're just attractions.
Yeah.
Whereas here they're creating lands, and that's kind of the new vision. Like
sounds
with
epic.
With Epic, yeah, with our Epic Park that's coming. Is that it for the news?
That's it for the news.
All right, I think we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with more We Like Theme Parks podcast.
Podcast.
And we're back on the We Like Theme Parks podcast. What's up? Oh, I had a nice break. I got a crush.
Yeah.
Cream soda. Thanks, Dustin.
You're welcome.
See, what do they say? Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
I complain about food, and food arrives. Thanks, Dustin. I'm excited because we have a special drop-in guest over the internet. And now Sean Reid from Theme Park Alchemy is here with us right now. Sean, welcome to the We Like Theme Parks podcast.
Hey, fellas, how's it going?
It's good.
It's going great.
It's great to hear your voice, because on the last episode or the episode before that on the Retire Me, it was a Retire Me sponsored by Theme Park Alchemy, which happens to...
Yeah, it was a fantastic segment.
That's kind of your gig. You're one of 4 people in the partnership, and you're one of them.
So if you look at my email signature, I call myself the Intergalactic Bicycle Mechanic, which is a nod towards the ET ride, right? You get to ride the old Kuwahara bicycles. I grew up on BMX bikes and 80s movies, so that's where I fit. But also, I'm the guy that manages the website. So that's my contribution, is being the computer nerd for the company.
Oh, so you're not the wax dude? You're not in there like churning wax candles?
No,
all day?
he's me.
Oh, he's the you.
Yeah. Oh, the
So
guy
he's
who
the
runs
tech.
the website.
So he's not the talent, he's the tech.
Yeah, kind of.
Exactly.
See, you pigeonholed yourself, Dustin. Way to go.
I'm trying to find a button here.
Is there a silence button? We still don't know how to work
There
these
is.
buttons.
There's a mute
All right,
button.
don't touch my mute button. Well, Sean, we're thrilled that you're here, and we do love your products. When are you going to send us some stuff? I want to sniff some of this stuff. I want to sniff me some confrontation.
You know
I
what?
have a care package ready to go for you.
Yes.
So I just need to drop it off in the mail.
Fantastic. I want to smell some bananas and fire. That's what I want. That's the goods. Well, guys, this is our sponsor, Sean. He's fantastic. We love his company. He gives you an opportunity to bring some of the memories from some of your favorite rides that are current and of yesteryear, and to bring that piece of that memory home with you, which is amazing. We've talked about these candles, but how did it all happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've ever been on Etsy, you know there's a million different Disney and theme park inspired candle companies. We were definitely not the first, but when we started this, my other partners, there are 4 people in the company. It's me and my partner Jen, and then another couple, Ryan and Nicole. Ryan had come back from Universal, and one of his favorite rides is the ET Adventure. And he was trying to find something that had the scent of the show building. If you've been on the ET Adventure, it's a very distinct smell.
What, mold? Asbestos?
It's like mold that just blends into a pleasant way. And you're like, okay, fun. And so we couldn't find anything. And at that point, I had recently left. I was working for a software company developing some theme park related adjacent software. And I was looking for something theme park related to get into. And we were looking at all these different candle companies. And we said, you know, none of this stuff really appeals to us. We're all horror fans and punk rock weirdos and stuff. So, and we couldn't find a candle with a scent that we liked. So we said, you know what? We're just going to do this ourselves. Let's just figure this out. We're all enterprising people. Jen is an artist. Nicole does all of like the makeup and the effects. Ryan's in a horror punk band and all of his videos and wild ideas.
Well, wait a second.
So we're all.
What's a horror punk band? Is this like a Gwar?
More along the lines like in the lineage of the Misfits or a Danzig.
Okay, cool.
So his band is called the Casket Creatures, and so we kind of live Halloween all year round.
Amazing.
So we said let's make a product that's going to kind of appeal to us. To borrow from a friend of ours who runs Darklight Clothing, she has the hashtag Disney Goth. And we're like, yeah, that's us. Let's come up with something that we really like and that we think really nails the ET set. And so that was the adventure that we set off on, was to create a good scent that matched the ET Adventure Show building.
Okay.
Amusingly, it took us the longest to come up with that scent. We actually released scents for Jaws and the Confrontation ride first. It was a little bit easier to do water and fire and bananas. That was kind of a no-brainer.
Yes.
And so Welcome Home, which is our ET-inspired scent, actually took us the longest to develop of the three original ones. Launched about a year ago with Sharkbait and Confrontation, two pretty easy ones. And, it's just a giant ape that breathes banana breath on you. And we do have the Bob Gurr seal of approval. He has a banana breath candle at his house that is with a 1/12 scale model of the Kong head from Confrontation.
Oh, that's amazing.
Because he was the engineer that actually designed that that animatronic. Yeah, so we released those first two, and then we released Welcome Home. And actually, to date, Welcome Home has been one of our best-selling scents. The ET scent was a hit, including cast members who had worked on the ride, which for us was the ultimate validation that we had gotten the scent right after.
So what does it say about ET? This says sink money into this thing. Don't ever get rid of ET the ride. It is the greatest ride at Universal Studios. I love that ride, and I have to defend it always. Whenever we do Retire Me, they're coming at me with ET, and I'm like, no.
That's because E.T. either it needs love.
It needs love.
Or it needs to go away.
Steven Spielberg needs to come in and just update that thing. Yeah. But still keep it, no screens. That pre-show just needs to be changed, and that's it.
Everything needs to be changed.
Shame.
Now, one of the reasons why, and it was something that I didn't even realize until just now, I actually had a friend of mine get the Sharkbait scent. I couldn't picture where it was. And then I realized the last time we were down in Florida, we went into a hotel that had one of the shark baits, and I think it was one of the butterbeer ones in their lobby. And it wasn't at an official Disney resort. It was at one of the Good Neighbor ones.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like the conversation that we need to have, and one of these days we will, is the difference between on-site and off-site properties and how a lot of the off-site ones are actually getting better. So I remember seeing that shark bait and smelling it, and I'm like, oh, when you smell something that is from Pirates Curse, like Pirates of the Caribbean or Sharkbait from Jaws, it just brings you back to that mentality of like, I'm on the ride. But one of the things that we talked about prior to you coming on is what we're going to talk about today.
Well, we're not going to talk about Sharkbait. It's sea salt and chum. Yum.
See, I thought it was going to be like, because Sharkbait is from Nemo.
The chum smell.
Oh, just turn it, not too much, I hope, because it's got to be authentic, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're thrilled to have Sean here, and we have a bunch of segments. Sean's going to join us because he's also a theme park nerd, just like us. The first segment we're going to do today was something that Sean suggested. Can you believe that? And he's here with us. It's like it's planned, but it actually isn't. It's a different take on Retire Me, but in the spirit of Halloween, instead of retiring an attraction, we're going to resurrect an attraction. So it's time for some Retire Me.
Retire Me!
All right, Retire Me. But different today, we're resurrecting an attraction from the dead. And the theme park we're doing it from is?
Universal Studios, Florida.
Orlando, I love you, Orlando. Yes.
Theme parks in Disney and
putt, golfing. Love that musical.
Oh, classic. So I do have to give a shout out though for Jill, because Jill was the one who came up with the Resurrect Me.
Oh, I thought it was Sean's idea.
No, it was Jill's.
Oh, I was totally giving it to Sean.
Oh.
And I thought he was rolling with it too. He was like, yeah, you're welcome.
I was like, sure, totally. That was.
Now, Jill would call me out on that one. I got called out the other day with the Figment thing. Because she doesn't get the ice cream, the Mickey's Premium Ice Cream Bar, until after we're off of that attraction. I'm like, well, fine then.
How good is that ice cream bar? Like, is it really? Is it like?
It got
better?
mass produced. I'm actually not a fan of it anymore.
So it was better.
It was better. Yeah.
The ones you get at the grocery store, and which I have a freezer full of them, not quite as good and slightly smaller than the ones at the park.
Yep.
So there still is that subtle Disney magic difference. But I will agree, it doesn't feel like a trip to Magic Kingdom if I don't have the Mickey bar when I'm down there.
Really? Okay. It's funny because everyone has that quintessential treat.
Dole Whip.
And for me, is it a Dole Whip for you? Yeah, I think it's a Dole Whip, a turkey leg, and what's the other thing I like? A corn dog, but that's more of a Disney.
Forgot about corn dog?
But corn dog's a Disneyland thing. It's going to the Red Wagon at Disneyland. When I'm at Disney World, I'm not as obsessive about getting that corn dog. You know?
I understand.
It doesn't have that history.
Yeah.
I think everyone's got that snack. And when people are like, mine is the premium Mickey bar, I'm like, oh, it's kind of
It's kind of a cop-out.
It's a little bit, especially if you can buy them at the store.
Yeah. As soon as it's mass-produced.
But now that I know that they're a little bit different, I feel better about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are bigger, so there's that.
Okay.
They're a good size. They're probably a good, I'd say, maybe not quite 25% larger.
Oh, that's a quarter larger.
Yeah.
It's a quarter pounder.
Yeah.
I dig it. All right, guys. We are resurrecting attractions from Universal Studios Orlando today. Dustin, why don't we start with you? Because yours was kind of the wild card. I'm really interested to hear what you got to resurrect.
Yeah, so I have two. As
Oh,
usual.
come
I'm
on.
sorry. It's just the way it works.
I'm the guy who does more than one.
Oh, I'm
All right,
okay.
dude, go ahead and do it.
All right. So the first one that I was going to do was Back to the Future. And it's gonna turn you down just a little.
Don't touch my fader. God.
I'm sorry. When I first started doing this deep dive, I was like, okay, Back to the Future, perfect. But I think they did such a good job with The Simpsons, and I like the idea of Springfield, USA over the international location that honestly, I could take or leave Back to the Future. The one that really struck me with this was Twister. Ride It Out.
Come on.
I'm sorry.
That's the one you want to bring back?
That's the one that I want to bring back.
That's on hallowed Ghostbusters ground, but you want to bring back Twister?
Yeah.
Please tell us why.
All right. So Twister has always been a classic movie for me. I love the
Helen Hunt. I love Helen Hunt.
Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton. It was just such a good movie. I think with this attraction, it was right location. I think, honestly, Twister versus Jimmy Fallon, night and day. Sorry, Twister wins. Jimmy Fallon needs to go away. Nice guy, but that attraction, too many screens, not enough physical set pieces.
So what was about this attraction that gets you all excited and hot and bothered?
Well, because being inside of a Twister...
You're not in it. You're like standing beside it.
Yeah, but you're in a soundstage where they have all of the wind and the rain and everything kind of... You're in that movie. You're in that scene.
You're just standing there, and it's happening over there.
That's perfectly fine. It is.
Sean, where are you on this one? Where are you on with Twister?
I'm actually with getting rid of Jimmy Fallon. I don't care what goes in its place. I mean, nothing against Jimmy Fallon, but the ride makes no sense.
It does.
The ride is an abomination.
Yep.
But why are we not circling this all the way back to Ghostbusters Spooktacular? Actually, I was watching a video about this, and did you know that the guys that made all the puppets and things on the Spooktacular were the guys that made the puppets for Killer Clowns?
Really?
The same designer. So if you look...
Was it the Chiodo brothers?
I can't remember the name. It might be, but the same guys who designed all the Killer Clowns in the films, they were hired to make the puppets, like the new ghosts.
Okay.
Because there's obviously Slimer and there's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and people you know, but they made other ghosts and they all looked like the Killer Clowns. It's pretty cool.
See, the thing with Ghostbusters is that it came out in 84. So because of that, it's a difference of generations around the table.
Sure.
Because I was not born in 84. I was not alive in 84. I was not even a thought in 84. I was born in 85.
But I'm thinking about the payoff, though. I'm thinking about...
Children.
I'm thinking about the Ghostbusters attraction was a big attraction with a lot happening. It was a big money attraction.
Sure.
And then they put Twister in and it was kind of like, okay, this cute little couple of effects on a soundstage. I liked the queue and you walk through the kind of disheveled house. And then, but there was a lot of just Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt telling you how dangerous a Twister was.
Sure.
And then you sit and you kind of watch a Twister from a distance.
But here's the thing with Universal Studios Florida is that there's so many shows. That theme park was all about putting you into the movies. Yeah. And I think when you're looking at the sheer number of attractions that have closed down since then, we already talked about T2 3D. Definitely the Animal Actor stage and all of the Wild Wild West stunt show.
The Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West.
Oh, see, you're a bass, so it sounds way better when you do it.
Just the number of attractions that have come and gone within that area. The American Tail Theater, Earthquake, Beetlejuice. All of these things are perfectly fine when you're talking about an attraction that is based around movies, that you're being put into the movies. I just look at Twister as, yes, it's the movie, but it's also a fear. And one of the biggest fears that I've had, and it goes back to when I was a kid, I think I was 5 years old, and we got hit with a Twister.
Oh.
And they still classify this situation that happened as Black Friday.
Whoa.
Because it was that bad. It came out of nowhere and it just completely freaked everybody out. And it tore up like trailer parks and everything like that. So all of those things that happened in the movie, I have this weird memory when I was 5 or 7.
It's a real fear, and that's why
Exactly.
you have a connection. A real fear for me at a theme park is not having a turkey leg. So that's kind of a big thing for me.
I agree.
They should have we rented a turkey leg experience.
Yep.
That would be something that I would fear, most certainly. Okay, so Twister it is.
Yep.
Good one, Dustin. Sean, you want to go next, or do you want me to go?
You go. I will defer and I'll go last.
Oh, I like it. He's going to punt. I dig it. I have 2 as well. I'm gonna do that to Dustin.
You said this.
You know what?
You went out there and was like, "Yeah, I can't believe you have 2. I can't believe you have 2."
You can just calm down. All right. Confrontation was the ride. I can't remember which one came out first, if it was Jaws or Confrontation, but I felt like it was the marquee attraction at the park.
Okay.
King Kong was the iconic face of the company. Every promo you saw was King Kong around a Universal logo or something.
Sure.
And that ride where you rode on that, what do you even call that thing? Like a sky?
It's like a tram car.
Thank you.
Like a trolley.
Was so incredible how they took this soundstage and made it feel and look like you were in a little town. You're in New York City and you're flying in the air, and then to have the biggest animatronic you've ever seen, courtesy of Bob Gurr, interact with you. And what was unique about it, and is something that I think we're missing from modern attractions, is that the animatronic would actually engage with the vehicle.
Sure.
That this thing would grab, or at least create the impression that it was grabbing the trolley and shaking it and pulling it. You're actually in the air, so it's real terror. It's legit. You're high up in the ground. You've got this 50-foot thing like knocking you around. Yes, it does smell like bananas to create a little bit of levity, but wow. When you're a young person and you're in that thing, it felt legit. It was magic. Even the queue, what was so wonderful about the queue was the whole subway thing. And all you could hear was helicopters and like car honking.
It's almost like you're actually at Penn Station.
But it was so cool because it was so much anticipation. You're waiting to get on this thing, and all you're hearing in the distance is this chaos. And then you get on the tram, and it's like you're being evacuated. Come on, get on here, guys. Oh my God, we got to get out of here. And then how they build all that tension with all the little videos, everything felt legit. Everything felt
more screens.
It's all about story and stakes, and the stakes were so high, and they played it so well. Machine guns and helicopters, and then you get off this ride, and you're like, "Wow, how do they top this?" Well, they have with other great attractions. But then now, when you go on something like Kong at Universal
Islands,
it's just like so painful when you remember what it was. When you're someone our age who remembers both experiences. What about you guys in Confrontation?
See, my thing with Confrontation is that I think that the replacement is better. I think the fact that they brought out Revenge of the Mummy, that is a better experience.
I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree, but it's not. It's really good. The first half of it is really good. And
Oh,
the
so
end
you
is-
don't like the coaster
The,
part?
the coaster is the worst part.
Okay.
Everything else is really fun.
But they've got that false reveal.
False reveal's great. I love the ending. I love the bugs, the scarabs.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
But the coaster itself is kind of like with big cutouts.
All right. Well,
Meh.
it's similar to Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah, and I don't care for that ride either, to be honest.
There you go.
But Confrontation, hot damn! You're hanging in the ceiling, and you're going around buildings. You don't know what's coming next. And it's all the sounds you hear and the anticipation.
Yeah.
And, Sean, come on, you went on this ride in so much that it inspired a candle for Theme Park Alchemy.
Right. So Confrontation, I'm almost 100% certain that Confrontation, E.T. Adventure, and Jaws were all opening day attractions down there at Universal.
Well, I
I'm
think
gonna leave that up to Dustin.
I feel like that was the plan,
Guy.
but Jaws didn't work, right?
But yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
so-
get there.
Awkward.
But so, and I was down there one of the very first times. There's a large gap between my times going to Universal, but one of the first times I went down there, and Universal had just opened. Back to the Future was not running yet, but we did get to ride Kong, and we did get to ride Earthquake, and I remember them vividly. And the ride was fantastic. And again, yeah, as you were saying, feeling like you're actually being shaken in this tiny car, particularly as a kid with this giant ape in your face. You actually felt like you were in a little bit of danger coming off of rides like what they had over, at Disney World, the rides feel a little more safe. Space Mountain would probably be the lone exception back in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
You get on this ride and you're like, this actually feels dangerous. Like, I really feel like I'm being like, this giant kaiju thing is just shaking me all around and rattle my brains out. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And as someone who grew up on Godzilla films, like I was in heaven. I thought that was the greatest thing in the world.
It was really a crowning achievement what they were able to dream up, because that was so unique. And I mean, I think that's what a lot of us theme park fans want, is just, we don't want cardboard cutter cookie whatever attractions where you see the same ride vehicle and the same thing being implemented with different IPs.
You mean like Dinosaur?
Well, stop it.
And Indiana Jones.
That ride
you
kicks
set
ass.
me up for that one.
That ride is amazing.
You set me up.
I'm just saying.
Exact same ride vehicles, exact same.
Well,
just different IPs.
That first dinosaur ride was scary. It was legit, and then they toned it down because kids were screaming coming off of it, and the parents are like, "Oh, my kid!" It's a dinosaur ride. Who knew it was so scary? It's a dinosaur. The dinosaurs are scary. It's not Barney the ride, man. It's dinosaurs. With that all said, this attraction is just top of the heap. If there was any way they could bring it back, it'll never happen. But that's my pipe.
Well, they brought Kong back in the Reign of Kong, and I understand it's definitely not the same. But
it's enjoyable, but it's just like I'm watching a movie. And the big truck. I don't like this big truck thing that they're doing now. And there's screens on either side. There's nothing tactile about that thing until you see Kong at the end, which is amazing. That's the best part of the whole ride.
Yeah,
is your actual interaction with Kong at the end.
I still find it funny that people have actually gone out and said that the queue line was incredible. The animatronics are worth the wait, but disappointed with the number of screens and the lack of practical effects. So that was from moviepilot.com. And you know what? That is exactly what I think it is.
Just summed it up.
The story before you're actually into the ride is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that in the animatronic where she's conjuring everything up. Like I went on it the weekend it opened, and we waited in line 90 minutes because we're insane. And standing there watching that show happen multiple times, like, that's fine. I don't like this wait is not bad because there's so much stuff going on. You got the scare actors and everything else as a part of it. And then we rode the ride and like, well, that was fun, but at the end of the day, that's exactly it. Like the anticipation of being in the queue, way more entertaining than I think the ultimate ride. There's more replay value in waiting in line than there is in the actual ride.
Well, I also remember when the attraction first opened, they had a lot of scare actors in there. They might have like one or like two now.
Yeah, budget cuts.
They had a bunch of them jumping out and scaring people. So it had a kind of haunted maze feel too. And it was it was like narrow, tight. You're in these caverns or whatever you want to call it.
I'm worried that and finishing up with Skull Island,
wrapping up Kong,
that going forward into what's coming down the pipeline with the Jurassic World coaster, with that being basically right beside Kong, are they actually going to be able to have equal footing? Are people going to walk past Kong in order to get to Jurassic Park, or are they going to continue? Because right now, people walk past the Hulk to get to Skull Island, or they go the other way and they go to Harry Potter. There's basically nothing in between. You usually don't start out your day with the river adventure.
No, because at the top of the park, right?
When you're going to get wet.
If you're going to get wet, you might as well do Ripsaw Rapids first.
You're going to have a shower.
But
speaking, the reason why I brought up the water ride is I'm foreshadowing down the pipeline to maybe what Sean's going to talk about.
All right. So let's talk about quintessential water rides, and arguably, in my opinion, one of the first super immersive rides that I can remember going on. Obviously, way, way, way before we got Harry Potter, which sadly replaced this ride. I would resurrect, and I think the technology might finally be there to give us a working shark so we could bring Jaws back from the dead. To quote the documentary, the shark is still working. Absolutely, bring that thing back. It was Kong, terrifying. Jaws, legit terrifying. And when you had a skipper that was really, really into it, man, you were going along. And my younger brother to this day is still really afraid of sharks, and it came from watching Jaws as a kid. And that ride terrified him to no end. It was amazing. It's a crazy thing. Nothing about it should make sense or work in the middle of a theme park. Mm-hmm. There's so much fire. There's so many hazards. I don't know how half of that stuff passes like OSHA safety regulations. But you just have all these people on a tiny boat and you're just pushing them around and just flames or like giant explosions are going off all over the place. And even, near the end when they had revised the story a little bit, because they're like, well, we can't make this part work, so let's just add another explosion here. That's what we do now, is that the cast member shoots a grenade, and that's the end of the show. There's no way that I'm going to get any massive Harry Potter fans to go along with me in this. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, we should get rid of Harry Potter and put the shark back there. You're like, no, what are you talking about, Muggle? That's crazy. If there's a way that we could, split the difference, I don't know, maybe get rid of Men in Black and then put Jaws there.
You're speaking to my heart right there. We've had that conversation, how Men in Black, the fact that they haven't updated it in so long.
That ride's still good, though.
It's a solid attraction, but it needs to get updated.
I remember it being more of a Buzz at Lightyear Astro Blasters kind of thing.
Yep.
And then I went on, I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of like Astro Blasters on steroids.
It's almost like Toy Story Mania.
Nah, different though. It's all the practical stuff though on Men in Black, which makes it so much more fun. And just to your point, Sean, what made it so terrifying, like Confrontation, was the fact you're in a vehicle like a boat or this trolley that felt dangerous. You're out in the water, you're already taken away from safety. And I mentioned in a pod previously, I'm more afraid of mechanical sharks than I am of real sharks because of that ride. It felt like it was one of the first ones where you're in a land, because you were in the harbor, you were in Amity Island. And it was kind of one of the first experiences that was creating not just an attraction, but welcome to this area.
Either that is very good or not good at all. And I'm of the opinion that, and I don't know if you're with me, Sean, Jaws, the attraction, was the best part of Amity Island.
It was Amity Island.
But they had all those different
Richterberger, big
games,
deal. But that's just creating the midway that's on the boardwalk, right? Right, Sean?
Yeah, but it becomes all encompassing. Like, you walk over there and that's what you're expecting. And I'm still walking by today. I'm like, I want to get on a boat. I want to go shoot a shark. Although I'm with you, a live shark is probably way more predictable than a mechanical shark.
But they had Dippin' Dots. Like that was the thing that always got me, was that you would walk into that area and be like, Amity Island, awesome. First off, you're not on an island. Secondly, there's Dippin' Dots all over the place. And you're like, I want Dippin' Dots. Perfectly fine.
But I'm with you, Sean, when you said the technology has to be better now. There has to be a way to do this practically and make it as entertaining or more. But I think the only way that this would ever happen is if there's a reboot of this movie, which I know nobody wants.
I do.
And I personally don't want it.
I do.
Yeah.
I
We're 2-1. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. I just don't like stomping on great legacies. And the original movie is incredible. There was plenty of garbage sequels that happened after it. Cool. All right. Well, hey, that was the Resurrect Me portion of our show today. 3 amazing attractions that we would love to see return to Universal Studios Orlando. I think Confrontation was the best, but that's just me. And the one that my backup one that I didn't get to talk about, and we'll just move on, was Conan. Bring back Conan. Conan, the show was amazing. Crom! That would be awesome.
So just so everyone knows that this segment of Retire Me and Resurrect Me was sponsored by Theme Park Alchemy. Head over to themeparkalchemy.com. Use the promo code WeLike15 as a way to save 15% on all of your amazing candles and everything else over at Theme Park Alchemy.
Yeah, check those guys out. They got great stuff. And that last segment was brought to you by Theme Park Alchemy. I just want to say it one more time.
Just wanted to say it.
Sean, do you want to say it too? Because it's your jam?
Yeah, absolutely. So head on over to themeparkalchemy.com, pick up your shark bait candle, put on a YouTube video of the Jaws ride, and it's like resurrecting it in your home.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love it. All right, so moving on, we got our next segment. We're going to have some fun today because with all this Star Wars action and the Jason Bourne stuff that just got announced, it had us thinking about how Universal and Disney are essentially going in completely different directions when it comes to introducing attractions, talking about attractions, and we're going to talk about it right now on Segment Time.
Segment time, segment time, segment time.
All right, it's Segment Time. We want to talk about how Disney and Universal are just showing us 2 completely different business engagements, how they're going about talking about attractions. And I think a lot of this stems from all the backlash at Star Wars. Have they really earned this billing? Is Star Wars a failure, like Batuu a failure? Because I don't believe so. So many people pointing fingers because Disney didn't deliver on a promise. And that promise was that Batuu was going to be X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. And if you take a step back, Disney on a whole, with the genesis of D23, and they announce big and splashy.
Yep.
Universal is doing this other thing, but I'm starting to realize why. They don't say anything.
Well, so here's what's funny, and it's something that I'm sure, Sean, when you were at Universal just this past weekend, did you have a chance to go on Hagrid's?
Did not, no.
Was it open?
It was we got down there on Friday. For most of Friday, it was closed.
Yeah.
Then it was open for a little while on Saturday, but the wait times were far outside what we were willing to wait around for.
Universal has basically opened themselves up for this type of backlash. And it's because they don't say anything until PR comes out and says, you have to have this attraction open by this exact date. And they put a date on it. And it's like, if you're not ready for that date, there is no turning back. We already have the Today Show coming in. We already have all the actors, and you need to be ready. But that's coming from PR. And I think that that's a mistake, because you're having creative folks putting on experiences like Hagrid's and like Jimmy Fallon, and honestly, on a lesser scale, like the Fast and the Furious Supercharged Me, where if the creative folks and the team members who look after Universal Creative, if they had more time, they would probably do it better. And I feel like that's the big issue with Universal.
But is it really an issue, though? Because I feel like right now there's a situation where you're a fan. Okay. And you can see over there, over that fence, they're building something, and they won't say what it is. Information is obviously leaked, and people know what it is. They know what's coming, but they won't officially announce, and there's no details.
Sure.
So then when this thing arrives, there's no preconceived notion of what it's going to be. There's no expectation, because you don't really know all the details. And then it ends up being not so bad. Like this is a good attraction. But let's look at Hagrid's. They didn't announce Hagrid's until right before it was coming, like a few months before. Oh, by the way, it's this Harry Potter thing. And people were like, we know.
Yeah, because everyone was leaking. Yeah. All the staff.
The whole world knew about it before they officially announced it.
Well, yeah, and you have people right now, and I think we're in a different time period of news and journalism where everyone and their dog has a blog and is an investigative journalist and can go out, or a podcast, and want to go out and get photos for a blog post so it can go viral. And then they make their money off of clickbait. If you go to this link, or if you look in this this folder, there are photos here of something that's coming. And I'm like, is that someone from inside Universal trying to draw buzz? Or is it the other way around, where people just want to be in the know? And I think we're getting to that point where Universal and Disney almost can't do anything without having everyone know exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, but I feel like they're handling it differently. I feel like Universal is like, great, if you know, I don't need to tell you. And you know what? You don't need to know all the specifics. So when this ride comes out, there isn't this expectation. Whereas you look at something like Batuu,
sure,
man, they promised the world with Batuu.
The D23
two D23
was great.
Ago.
Yeah,
it was great, and they promised this immersive land where all this stuff was going to happen, and then they wheeled out what they wheeled out, which is great.
Well, Sean, did you get a chance to head over to Disney on this trip, or have you seen Star Wars yet?
No, that's going to be in January. We're going to get down there after Rise of the Resistance and everything is open, because for most of the reports, people that have been there, my friends that live in Orlando, they've enjoyed it so far. They've had a blast, but they said there's this giant wide space that will clearly be the Rise of the Resistance, but right now it's just kind of empty, and it makes the park feel weird and unbalanced.
But I think you just said it right there, Sean, where you were like, nope, I'm going in January. Because Disney gave you dates, you were willing and ready to hold up on spending your theme park dollar until you knew you were going to get a chance to see that attraction you wanted to see. Nobody has any clue when Universal is going to roll out a lot of their things. They tell you a month before, and nobody books their stuff a month before. They're booking 6 months, 8 months, a year out. So I feel like Disney is feeling some of that burn from promising and having to stick to those days because they leaked it in the media, or because they're standing by the dates they announced. And now, because they're married to that date, they're finding they can't deliver everything that they promised to deliver. And so then fans, they're waiting for it, so they're not going to go before. And then when they go, they're like, well, where's this thing? Where's this thing? And being hypercritical. And it feels like Universal's kind of figured this game out.
Yeah, but
bit more.
I definitely want to jump on the Star Wars thing, because we're looking at an experience that was, as you said, promised. They went out and said, here's exactly what's going to happen. And then they gave an opening day and they said, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is opening. And then they said, no, it isn't. That's what it's all about, because you're looking at a land that isn't done yet. So how on earth as a theme park fan, and we were there the day that they announced Galaxy's Edge. I saw you on your phone looking for dates. Mark almost bought tickets to Galaxy's Edge in August. And then he started to do his research and like, wait a second, Rise of the Resistance isn't going to be opening.
Yep, hold the phone.
Hold the phone.
Yeah.
Like, and it's different for locals. And I understand that there's a lot of people within the Orlando market who are like, awesome, we can go. We're all annual pass holders. We can drop in. It's not going to cost us an arm and a leg. But as soon as you have to take a flight to Disney World and you have to pay the per day ticket, are you actually going to go out of your way to spend that kind of money on a park that isn't really done yet?
I think I could completely agree. So for me, obviously, I have an annual pass. It's a 6-hour drive. That's not that much. To look at my schedule, and normally I've seen every new Star Wars movie at Disney Springs, and I've gone to all the Galactic Nights events when they have them because it's easy, you know, relatively speaking. Still paying for the hotel and all of that, but I'm not loading up a plane. I'm not taking an entire family. It's me and Jen, and we board our dog. That's all we have to worry about. That's really easy planning.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at it and looking at it, does look there's going to be a Galactic Nights event. We'll just Rise of the Resistance is open in early December, and the Christmas crowds are going to be nuts. We'll just put it off. And it was trivial for us as even semi-local, you know, one state away local, to kind of put that off until later. Yeah, if you've got somebody that's coming from up where you guys are or somewhere in the middle of the country, that's a not insignificant, and you're going to start planning that as far out as possible. So even if they don't have everything you want, you're just going to have to make that concession, because rescheduling that and paying for that and planning around school schedules and everything else, it's going to be next to impossible to handle all that.
You brought up a really good point, and especially the local mentality. And local is usually within a 4 to 6 hour drive. That's what Disney classifies, especially Disney World classifies as local, because you don't have to do that extra travel day. But when you're looking at Star Wars being open, you're in the community as much as, you know, we are. You have a company that is based around theme park inspired experiences. The people that you're talking to, did Disney take advantage of the goodwill that it has built up over the years to almost, I don't want to say it, but exploit the Star Wars fandom to get them down there? And then knowing flat out, and we've seen people go into Rise of the Resistance, it is ready right now. Even if they have to do some extra paint and everything, that's perfectly fine. But the fact that they've already done the Today Show, they've done a lot of, Bob Iger's done his walks through. If it's that far along, why wouldn't they have just waited, or why wouldn't they have opened it early? Do you think that Disney, did they take advantage of something, and are people going to think about that in the future?
I'm actually of two minds about that. On one hand, being a diehard Star Wars fan myself, like, I was ready to take my money. I'm already trying to figure out like how I can split up and make the stay in the hotel happen, right? Like, all right, let me just start putting money aside right now, because I'm just going to hand you $3,000 so I can just stay in this hotel.
Yeah, got to mortgage our house.
Exactly. Like, I need to sell more candles, y'all, so that I can stay in that hotel.
So guys, this Christmas, think of Sean and think of his theme park trip when you're buying gifts for your friends and family.
So we need that. That's a new set that we'll work on. But I also can't help wondering if Disney was going to be sort of damned if they did, damned if they didn't, because contrast this with Harry Potter, which has, right now, it has a set number of films and a fan base that is between a certain age range that's not nearly, I don't think, as broad as the Star Wars film. You know, this is 40 years of films. You've got very different fans. And there's part of me that thinks that almost no matter what Disney did, even if they had put it off, you were still going to have a very loud vocal contingent that was going to have some sort of problem with it, because it wasn't what they formed in their mind when they were thinking of what a Star Wars land should be, right? They don't get to go and lay down next to the burnt corpses of Aunt Beru. And so, therefore, it's not a great land. So I'm sure on a spreadsheet somewhere, there's like, we know that we can predict that we're going to make this much money off of Star Wars fans no matter what we put out there. But I also think that a large contingent of online vocal, or at least a very vocal minority of Star Wars fans, were going to complain no matter what we got. So a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
I get that.
One of the things that we did want to talk about, though, is the fact that Universal and Disney are doing night and day for their marketing campaigns. Disney has D23, where they tout out all of the different levels of their business. Universal doesn't.
Well, why don't we flip it? What if we put it this way?
Okay.
D23 comes.
Okay.
Bob Iger walks on the stage and he goes, something big is coming, and here it is. Yes. And that was it. Fade to black. Everybody goes, woo!
Dude,
Everybody goes crazy.
We've got the buttons
Oh,
if
okay.
you would like.
Ready?
Oh.
Waka, waka, waka. Hey, Jabba, no bother. All that stuff, right? The place goes wild. They have no idea what they're excited about, right?
Yep.
And then you don't hear a thing. They just go, oh, maybe it's this. Maybe you're driving the Millennium Falcon, and maybe a Kylo Ren is gonna do something to you, and oh, maybe you're gonna eat, and you're gonna go to the that's all gonna happen.
So kind of like
maybe,
how,
but we don't know. And then you get there on the day, and you're like, oh my god, this place is amazing, because the expectations are low. But Disney was like, it's going to be this. It's going to be the most advanced this. And there's going to be a zillion actors walking around. And if you crash the Millennium Falcon, you're going to have a reputation, and you're going to walk around this land, and they're going to be like, hey, you're the crappy smuggler. Crappy smuggler.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have these interactions. And now they don't even have that. And they laid off most of the actors, and it's non-actors trying to do things that actors would do.
Yep.
It's just
and they're doing their best.
Oh, they're doing fine.
It's a different kind of a experience.
It's not what they touted.
Yeah.
And I think the Star Wars geek in all of us wanted that. They wanted to live the experience. They didn't go all the way.
You have a solid point that because they touted this ahead of time, we saw the updates because we follow people like BioReconstruct over on Twitter where he does the flyovers. And we know what could have been.
And when the shortcoming came and they said, oh, well, this thing isn't ready yet, all of a sudden red flags went up. And people
or the budget. And I'm so sorry, but anytime Disney talks about budget in the same breath that they raise the annual pass $300 overnight, I look back at what Disney said, and I understand things have changed. Walt Disney said the parks are for everyone. I understand that we've gotten to a part where the parks are a business. That's perfectly fine, but there is no reason why you have to price people out when you can create add-ons. In my opinion, and I could be completely wrong, but as soon as they announced that Star Wars Galaxy's Edge was open and they allowed people to book and purchase tickets, and they waited and had to have other people, outside journalists, confirm that Rise of the Resistance was not opening on day one, Disney took that goodwill that I had given them and smashed it.
He said, it got personal, Sean. It got real personal.
It did. I heard that.
Let me flip this again.
Sure.
Let's talk about a different IP.
Okay.
Let's talk about Nintendo. So
do.
Nintendo, we've known about Nintendo forever. Mr. Nintendo, I don't know the gentleman's name, came up and said, we're building Nintendo. It's obviously being built right now in Japan.
Yeah.
We know what the ride's going to be. Everyone's seen the patents. But in North America, nobody really knows. Now, obviously, we all assume it's going to be at Epic Universe. Mm-hmm. Hasn't been confirmed. Nothing's been confirmed.
We're looking at reputable journalism talking about Universal, and on every single one of them, they have a line that says Universal or executives with Universal couldn't be reached for comment. But yet they go through this entire huge thing with concept art. Universal, they're putting this out there. Okay.
So based on what you've just seen, two completely different approaches.
Sure.
This Nintendo approach, the Star Wars approach.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that Universal has figured this out?
No, because of what happened with Hagrid's.
Okay, so what happened with Hagrid's?
They overpromised. As soon as word got out there and they said this is what's coming, they put a date on it. You know, Jurassic World, the ride at Hollywood Studios never actually had a grand opening.
No,
they never had an opening date.
It just kind of happened.
It just opened.
Yeah.
Did it just soft open and then like, oh, it's open now?
Yep. And then they put out a tweet and they said Jurassic World, the ride is now open.
But mind you, they've had TV commercials for months and months with a dinosaur running around Universal Studios. Again, broad, no details. The ride isn't a dinosaur running around Universal Studios.
Yep.
It's totally something different. But I guess the bigger question is, as a fan, which approach are you more comfortable with or more willing to accept? What are you guys' opinion? What do you think is the right way, and who do you think is doing it better?
You should always underpromise, right? So,
Yes.
So saying less and letting fans speculate, and then when you can point and say, well, we never said that, that's just what you wanted, we can't be blamed for not meeting the expectations that we don't know that are in your head. I think Universal wins in that regard, but I do think that Universal, I agree with Dustin, that their PR puts their engineers behind the 8 ball far too often, and so they're having to roll things out before they're ready.
So what's the right approach then? Because they need to sell tickets. They want to create excitement, and they want to generate buzz. So they'll drive you to spend money. So
what is the correct buzz? Because you and I have talked about this.
It sounds like nobody knows. Like it sounds like you damned if you do, damned if you don't. It doesn't matter what you do because there are two completely unique strategies.
Yep.
And I guess neither are working. I would say the universal approach is kind of working. If you ask me, Epic Universe, we know nothing about it. Literally nothing. It's all speculation. We saw this one picture
over dissecting it,
dissecting every little thing and dreaming and hoping, but nothing is in stone until you get a leak and what's true and what isn't true.
Well, that goes
Whereas
back to
Disney
a great...
goes, here's a point form, everything you're going to get.
Yep.
Oh, we could only deliver half of that because of A, B, and C.
Well, Epic Universe, I think, and we got together that morning to watch the live stream, and the fact that there was no live stream.
Nothing.
And Epic Universe they missed the opportunity to have people fall in love with this new theme park that is still 4 years out.
I honestly think that, I'm just pure speculation. I know nothing because I am not an insider. I'm just a dude with a microphone.
You think it was D23?
I think they knew what was going to get announced at D23 and they were like, no big deal. Let's tell them nothing. Let's just go. It's happening, guys. You got it. You're right. Fourth park. Oh, you want details? Gotta go. Like, that's what I think happened. And
I love how you call it the fourth park. Like,
whatever. You know what I mean.
Disney gets by on a lot of nostalgia.
Yep.
Obviously, I have a bias in favor of that. But, yeah, I agree the hype machine is problematic, but I'm probably still going to love it when I go down there.
But, Sean, here's the thing, man. Disney is counting on you to say exactly what you just said. How long can they do that for? How long can they hope that you're like, well, even though this and that, I'm still going to do it. There's got to be a point where people go, nah, I'm done.
So
it's too expensive, or it's not good enough, or I don't care about this thing that you're doing. It's just really interesting because you were like, yeah, I'm kind of on the ropes or on the fence, but I'll still do it anyway.
Are we classifying ourselves as theme park marks? Where basically the company can do anything and we will accept it and pay money and complain about it.
Look, I bought my tickets already, so like I got to use them. So I'm going to go. I was wise, and I bought them years ago when they still had no expiry date. And I'm like, I'm going to buy a
smart move.
I'm going to buy a bunch of these. I bet you this is a good idea. And guess what? With that price increase, it certainly was. So I just feel like you're the guy, Sean, and they built the thing that you wanted to see the most, and then promised you a bunch of stuff. And even though they're underselling, you're like, doesn't matter.
Still
Star
go.
Wars, I'm going.
There probably is a level. What I'm saying is we haven't hit that yet. Now we're rapidly approaching it because Disney may consider us local, but they sure as heck don't extend that price up to Georgia. Like we're still paying full on out of state prices, for
which is insane. Like you're down the highway, man. You should be able to get that $300.
Well,
Universal will.
Yes.
Universal will extend it up to Georgia, but Disney does not, and so it drives me a little crazy. It is hitting some of those price points where it's like, I don't know if this is actually worth it. If it keeps climbing the way it is, I think that's a Chapek thing personally, and that's a rant for best day for another day. But if it keeps climbing and I keep feeling like they're making decisions based on what's on the spreadsheet, then I'm going to have a problem. So I will hit a breaking.
Yep, I agree.
It sounds like there is no real answer. Who's doing it right? Who's doing it wrong? Everybody's just trying to do their thing. All right, guys. So we're going to do one more little segment before we go, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite things.
My favorite things. Hey.
One of the favorite rides for everybody. If you like Disney, this is probably your favorite ride, or you're just a weirdo. The Haunted Mansion.
Oh, I thought you were going with Journey into Imagination with Figment.
Incorrect. Sean, you're a Haunted Mansion guy?
Oh, absolutely. My favorite ride, hands down.
Thank you. Same here. Dustin?
I will go on Haunted Mansion every time that I can at the Magic
That
Kingdom.
sounds like a top 5, not a favorite, but that's okay. The Haunted Mansion, it's full of lore, full of history. And you know what also? Sometimes it's a little spooky. That's the scary button. I just wanted to press it. It's not that scary, but I pressed it for this. We haven't used a lot of these buttons today. So what we wanted to do today was we wanted to talk about the Haunted Mansion, but we weren't just going to talk. We were going to rank them. Because there are haunted mansions all across the world. You know what? They're all different. Some of them are more different than others. And we thought we would just go around the horn and rank our haunted mansions. But before we do, there's a big question that will change our rankings, I'm sure, for all of us. And that is, does Mystic Manor count? Gentlemen?
Yes.
I'll go yes, but I will put an asterisk.
So you're a yes, Sean's a yes. I was a no
Okay.
because I think it's so different. So if you know the story, in China, they don't make light of ghosts. It's not a comedic thing or fun thing. It's an honorable thing, spirits. So they did not want to touch ghosts in a haunted house. So instead they created Mystic Point and Mystic Manor, which is its own story.
Yeah, the Society of Explorers and Adventurers.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So I feel like it's not the Haunted Mansion.
I think there's an argument on both sides.
Inspired by the Haunted Mansion. It says it right on Wikipedia.
I could see that, and I think as soon as you bring Danny Elfman in, that's it. No, I'm joking.
Did Danny Elfman make the song for that?
Yeah, he's done the musical score for it.
Of course he did, because it's so great.
Well, and it's trackless. I think that the Doom Buggy is such
it's a different
iconic.
It's a different ride tech.
You know what?
I
may have changed my outlook on this.
I think I just made this whole segment easier.
What do you think?
Sorry, Sean. Have we coaxed you into pulling Mystic Manor out of this?
Because no Doom Buggy.
Yeah, I'll fold.
Success.
I'll fold.
Okay.
Because quite frankly, if you include Mystic Manor, you can't help but make it number one. Am I wrong?
No, it is a great experience. We are keeping Phantom Manor though, the one in Disneyland Paris, because that's a reimagined version.
It is, and it plays off all the same stories, and it's the same ride tech, and so we'll talk about that. Okay. All right, we're gonna rank them right now. Why don't we start with Dustin, since he's so passionate about these? Yeah, they're in my top 5. Why don't we go with you, and why don't you rank your haunted mansions?
The best one is, in fact, Disneyland.
Okay, interesting.
I believe flat out the Disneyland, the stretching room, the fact that it's an elevator and it's not just a visual effect. The mansion itself is much more aligned with my concept of a haunted mansion. But I definitely think it's the original. It's the one that, is in Walt's Park. And even though I absolutely adore the one in the Magic Kingdom, I know that the one in Disneyland is by far and away the most haunted mansion-y of all of them.
So that's number 1. What's 2 and 3 and 4?
2 is Magic Kingdom. It's the one that I visit more often.
Yeah.
It's also the one that I have the best memories from. A little bit behind the curtain, I had a chance to walk the track when I was a cast member there. I also walked the track of Finding Nemo, the Seas with Nemo and Friends.
All right.
So a little bit different.
Keep it Haunted Mansion over here.
I apologize. They have a Kuka arm in there.
All right.
So I go from there to, I think Tokyo Disneyland is probably my 3rd. And because it is a reimagined version of the Haunted Mansion, I think Phantom Manor is in last place.
Wow, I couldn't agree with you less.
I understand. And that's why our show is great.
Sean, how about you, buddy?
So I'm going to go with the Haunted Mansion at Magic Kingdom as my number 1. Again, that's probably giving Disney a lot of bonus points on nostalgia, but it was one of the first attractions at Disney I remember as a kid, and I didn't make it past the stretching room. I freaked out, got scared, and I didn't even make it onto the Omni Mover. So then when I went back as an adult, it was 20 plus years between that trip and my next trip. When I went back as an adult, it was one of the first rides I went on, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's hands down my favorite, and it helps that I grew up in the Northeast, and the architecture is not unlike different houses I would have seen in areas of Pennsylvania and the Northeast areas that I grew up in.
Yep.
So second place definitely goes to Disneyland, and it's really so close. It's practically a tie. I almost gave it to Disneyland just because they get Nightmare Before Christmas overlay over there.
Yep.
Which is huge, and I wish we got something like that. We don't get any of the cool overlays over here in Magic Kingdom.
No, because it's closed for 3 weeks before and then 3 weeks after.
Yep.
For that downtime, as a local, perfectly fine if you're in Disneyland, but
it's for the AP holders in California to give them something different. It makes sense, and it's great.
Third place I have not been on, but Ryan and Nicole have. And since we've all bonded over our friendship, Ryan's right arm is covered in Haunted Mansion tattoos. He has a whole sleeve.
Oh, wow.
So he's very hardcore. And they went and they rode Phantom Manor at Disneyland Paris, and they rode it so many times the cast members recognized them.
Oh, cool.
He's the guy walking in with the whole sleeve full of full of Haunted Mansion tattoos, that they gave them a behind-the-scenes tour.
Oh, wow.
During that trip. And they translated the story into English, and so they came back and they were just raving about that as the house. And so that one, for my excitement level for wanting to go see it based on the first-hand reports, gets my number 3. So
Nice.
and then I'll put Tokyo at number 4 simply because I know the least about it. So because of my ignorance, it goes in the 4th place spot.
And it does look like it's more of a duplicate of the Magic Kingdom. So if you like the Magic Kingdom, just go to the Magic Kingdom.
Can I spend my time trying to convince both you guys that you're wrong like crazy?
I mean, based on the previous episodes I've heard, I would expect nothing less.
Sean. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. And you're right. Each one has something special and unique that each person takes away from it.
Okay.
I agree with the Disneyland stuff. It was the OG ride. All the history about the stuff beforehand where they built the house and they didn't know what was going to be inside and the sign outside and people speculating for years what it was going to be. Originally going to be a walkthrough attraction, and then they discovered the Omni Mover and how exciting that was. The Hatbot Ghost and all that stuff. It's great, but when you break it down to what has it got? There is fewer show scenes in Disneyland. There are fewer experiences in Disneyland, but they have a couple of unique things. So I kind of broke it down literally, like I moneyballed it, right? And I was like, what gets you the best bang for your buck? Then I kind of realized that there was just one that set itself apart. So I'm going to go from the bottom up. And here's the other thing that I got on both you chumps is I've been on all 4 of these.
Okay.
Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Worlds are exactly the same for the most part. Disneyland recently updated the hitchhiking experience at the end. The hitchhiking ghost follows you home.
Yeah, they put the hitchhiking ghost in your Doom buggy.
Well, they were always in your Doom buggy, but now it almost interacts with you, and it just looks
it takes
better.
your head and
Whereas before, the old one is still in the Tokyo edition. So, but as far as what it has more show scenes than Disneyland. It has the library, it has the piano, the multi-stair room, just a bunch of different things that Disneyland attraction doesn't have.
Okay.
What the Disneyland attraction does have that's kind of interesting, it has that walkway, that hallway that you walk through, which is it's super fun, and it kind of sets things up. And it has the Hatbox Ghost. But otherwise, it's missing a lot of show scenes. The Disney World ride has the interactive queue, which I think people are kind of forgetting about. And I don't know how important that is to somebody, but to me, the queue is important, right? In Tokyo, you're just kind of outside waiting for it. And Disneyland, you're working your way up the kind of the side through some of the gardens. In Disney World, you're kind of under that awning and you're going through that interactive queue, which is kind of fun. Phantom Manor is by far the superior one. It recently had a major up, and the update is so good, and it just takes the ride from great to incredible. First of all, it's the only one that has a true through line and a true story. Some people prefer that it doesn't have a story, that it has all these kind of stories, like elements of different stories that are alluded to throughout the ride. Whereas in Phantom Manor, you are in Thunder Mesa. Big Thunder is kind of attached to the Haunted Mansion. Phantom Manor en français. There's a story about the whole neighborhood, and now they've taken it to another level where they've gone with the bride story and they've really flushed it out and created the Phantom, and who is this killer who has killed all of
Henry Ravenswood.
Henry Ravenswood has killed all his daughter's suitors. It has Vincent Price. They've reintegrated Vincent Price into the ghost host.
Sure.
Which is incredible. So you actually get it in both French and English. I think before it might have just been in French. I'm not sure. They originally, when they made the ride, they had Vincent Price, and then they didn't like Vincent Price. They went with a French guy. They put Vincent Price back in, so they're both in. It's great. It's totally unique. It's totally fun. If you've been to Phantom Manor, when I think of a haunted house and kind of pictures of the Haunted Mansion, it's that old house up on the hill, and that's what Phantom Manor is. And you literally walk through the hill, through the gardens, and it's all themed and it's cool. There's a gazebo there that sometimes has Jack Skellington is there, or there's other different meet and greet things happening there. The whole thing has this incredible soundtrack.
Okay.
We all know the song. We all know Grim Grinning Ghosts. But it was made in the 60s, right? 60s, mid 60s, early 70s. Am I way off?
Yeah.
When was it? Didn't they announce the ride and didn't it open in 66?
Almost like we have Wikipedia.
It's like right in front of us. I want to say 66.
It was 69.
So yeah, I was close.
Yeah, because it celebrated 50 years.
They've updated the score, and the score is so great. The orchestrations are amazing. And you can almost hear like the singing, weeping bride. When you walk into the ride, the area where you load onto the Omni Movers is this beautiful stairwell, and the bride is there looking out the window. All this storytelling and immersion. It's not just get on the Omni Mover. There's something happening. There's always a story being told.
The story that usually is told when you're walking through from the stretching room into the Omni Mover in Walt Disney World is people stepping on my feet.
Yeah, well, you're a big guy, man.
Well, because that's what happens when you have usually two. Spoiler alert, there's two stretching rooms, and they both kind of empty at the same time every once in a while, and yeah, my poor feet.
Moreover, they've replaced the Phantom with a more up-to-date animatronic, which is really chilling and moves incredibly, and it's also just different. I don't know if that scores any points, like, because if you've been on the ride, the show scene doesn't play out the same where you go into the graveyard at the end. You go into Thunder Mesa, like the dead version of Thunder Mesa. So it's cowboys and Cowboy Town.
Which makes sense because you're in Frontierland.
It's just unique. Just the aesthetics are better and the effects are better and the music is better. Everything is better. Nostalgia-wise, I feel you. And I'm just like, it's not the same good old Haunted Mansion, but it is plussed so much and close enough to the Haunted Mansion that I feel that it is the number one Haunted Mansion in all the world is Phantom Manor. Disney World rather being number 2 because it has some of the extra show scenes and the interactive queue. Disneyland being number 3 because it has a Hatbox Ghost, the walkway that you can go through, but it's missing some show scenes. And Tokyo Disneyland is Disney World missing some stuff, no good queue stuff. And it's in Japanese, so there's that too.
So that's your argument? Sean, what do you think?
Yeah.
Did Chris convince you?
Did I sway anybody?
No. I mean, that aligns with everything that I've heard from Ryan and Nicole, and the enthusiasm definitely matches with it. And I think once I experience it, I may be willing to bump it up a little bit higher. But right now, it's hard to replace that sort of magical connection that I have with the Disney World version.
Yep. And I agree wholeheartedly. I think that we're looking at a Haunted Mansion that was upgraded in 2019 and the other Haunted Mansions around the world. So all of these other ones have a different schedule to upgrade. And I think that Haunted Mansion in Florida, they need to do something with it. I'm not saying that it's perfect. I'm not saying that I wouldn't love to have the Hatbox. See, I can't even say it either. The Hatbox Ghost.
See?
I think the interactive queue actually didn't add as much to the story as a lot of people
Well, it's because
did.
it's at Disney World where there is no story, where it's like pockets of, there's the ship captain, there's...
but we are looking at
a
Scene 1 project that failed after the Haunted Mansion. So there's actually going to be Scene 1 updates for all the big attractions in Walt Disney World. And they were going to be similar to what happened at the Haunted Mansion, where they'd have interactive elements all over the place. And instead, Disney went from that to the app that allows you to play on your phone.
Right.
Because that's what people are doing anyway.
That's cheaper.
I respect the fact that you talked more about the story than the frills and the gimmicks and that kind of thing. I think that's a very important thing because Walt Disney World's story with the crow, how the crow was supposed to be the ghost host, and yet it's still there. Yep. And every time I ride it, it just digs into my soul that could have been something so much more impactful.
Yeah, but it would have been ominous, and you gotta spell it out for people. Yep. And I think the ghost host is great.
But I look at that as I go into it, it takes me out of the Haunted Mansion in Walt Disney World because I know what it could be with technology.
Totally. And one of the things I didn't mention is that in the new Phantom Manor, they've upgraded the opening scenes pre-show where you go into that room and you have the picture and the man is decaying in front of you until he becomes a skeleton and the door opens and you go into the stretching room. They've changed that in Paris, and now it's a picture of the bride with her father. And then so it's more about the storytelling than it is the effect. But what they did is there's a moment in that pre-show room where it's dilapidated when you walk in, and then they almost kind of hit a switch and you go back in time and a painting changes and they look happy and it's earlier in time before the father killed all the the suitors, and the wallpaper all changes.
Sure.
And it's this beautiful effect done with projection
yeah,
mapping.
yeah.
But it's incredible and it's seamless. It takes something that was kind of really old and get just a little bit of a nuance that wasn't wildly me looking at a 3D screen.
Sure.
That took this tactile thing and enhanced it. And I think that's the way most of these attractions should be trying to improve.
But you brought up a really good point, trying to improve. I think Walt Disney World improved because they brought in Memento Mori.
Oh, the store.
The store.
Yeah, the store's
fact
great.
that they are now going out of their way to merchandise to the fans. That's one of the main reasons out of all the different attractions around the world for Haunted Mansion that I'm like, you know what, Walt Disney World, it allows you to get excited, but it also allows you to go in and take that passion home.
We actually joke at Theme Park Alchemy and say that we're less Main Street USA and more Memento Mori.
The merchandising works, an attraction that is so popular throughout the year that it doesn't even have to be in October.
So it's nice. That's great.
All you
Something
have
to
do
appreciate
is
when you get older.
Hurry back.
All I know is I took my
back.
3-year-old on it because she was like, I want to go in the spooky house, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And we go on. And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, because she'd been on it before when she was like 1, but she doesn't know what fear is. Like,
Yeah.
she was 1.5. She went on it in Disneyland. So then we go to Disney World and I'm like, okay, let's go. She's quiet the whole time. She's just like looking. We get off the ride. We get off the Omni-Mover. We walk outside and the sun hits her face and she just explodes. Oh, Daddy, oh, so scary. I was like, she didn't cry the whole time and then made the biggest scene in front of, like, I'm the worst parent. And parents are looking at me like, you put your child on the Haunted Mansion? How dare you, terrible father. And now my kid won't go on anything. She doesn't trust me. I'm like, let's go on the Jungle Cruise. She's like, no, Daddy, it's scary. I'm like, it's a boat. You're going to see a, hippopotamus.
That's going to come in.
Elephants having a bath. She's like, no, I don't trust you. I'm like, oh,
Aw.
come on, let's go on. What's the other one she won't go on? Pirates.
Yeah.
It's Pirates. Pirates are fun. No, it's scary. She won't go on anything. She doesn't trust me. She's 4 now. She's more cynical. Well, I guess that guy wraps it up, guys. I think we've ranked the mansions our own. And if you have your own ranking or your opinion about the haunted mansions, let us know. And no, Mystic Manor does not count because it would be number 1. So give us a shout. Let us know. You can reach us at ideas@welikethemeparks.com, or you can just check us out on the Instagram at welikethemeparks. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. Sean, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being part of the experience. Any last words, Sean? Where can we find you?
Yeah, so thanks for having me on the show, fellas. I had an absolute blast. And yeah, definitely check us out at themeparkalchemy.com. It's going to be about that time of year where we kind of come out and shine in all of our spooky darkness. So great time for candles.
Great.
And all I have to do is hurry back. I still love it. It's great.
Yeah.
Just tell the joke one more time.
Part of the ride, and it's the scariest part of the ride.
one more. You've got about 15 seconds to put that joke in one more time. Well, hey, we appreciate you having you, Sean, and we will definitely keep on talking about Theme Park Alchemy because you guys have great stuff. So, hey, thanks so much for joining us. Please rate, review, all that stuff. It helps us out. Be sure to alert all your theme park nerd circle and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the fun. The music for the We Like Theme Parks podcast was composed and provided by Mike Treblecock. Check him out at MikeTreblecockmusic.com. That's it, folks. We'll see you real soon. Why? Because we like you. And
we like the Haunted Mansion.
See, Sean was going to do it, and you ruined it. You ruined it, Dustin. I could see on Skype Sean was about to do it. Thanks, Sean.
Anytime, fellas.
All right. See you real soon. Bye.
We like theme parks podcast.